Number: Alien Kidnappers. Take human children. Unleash the Galactic Fiercest hunters. The sun set over HFY 7, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The human colony had been on this world for only 3 years, but already it felt like home. Fields of golden grain stretched toward the horizon, and small houses dotted the landscape. Children ran through the streets, their laughter filling the warm evening air. Min Seo was 7 years old. She chased her brother Taeyang through the festival grounds, her dark hair flying behind her. Tonight was special. The whole colony celebrated the harvest, and colorful lights hung between the buildings. The smell of cooking food drifted from the market square. "You can't catch me," Taeyang shouted, running past a group of parents who smiled at the racing children. Other kids joined the game. There was little Sujin, only 5 years old, trying to keep up with the bigger children. Jiwoo and Haewon, twins who were always together, ran hand in hand. More than 20 children played in the streets as their parents enjoyed the festival. Nobody noticed the shadows moving between the buildings. High above the colony, invisible to human eyes, a ship hung in the darkness of space. Inside, Grixtal studied the settlement below. His 4 eyes gleamed with satisfaction. The Vrin had been in the trafficking business for 60 years. They knew how to spot easy targets. "Primitive species," Grixtal clicked to his crew. "They have no defense shields, no orbital sensors. They don't even have security patrols during their celebration. The younglings are valuable," his second-in-command said. "The markets will pay well for such specimens. They are rare in this sector." "Humans," Grixtal made a sound like laughter. "They just arrived in this part of space. Weak, slow to respond. By the time they understand what happened, we will be gone for weeks." The Vrin had done this hundreds of times. They knew exactly how long each species took to organize a response. Most took weeks. Some took months. The Vrin had perfected the timing. Take the young, disappear into the network of criminal stations, sell them before anyone could react. "Begin," Grixtal ordered. 6 Vrin operatives shimmered into view on the colony streets. Their stealth technology had kept them hidden for hours. They had watched the children, counting them, planning. Now, they moved fast. Minseo stopped running when she saw the strange figure appear in front of her. It was tall and thin, with too many arms. Before she could scream, a device on its arm beeped. Everything went dark. One by one, the children fell. The Vrin moved with practiced efficiency. Grab, stun, carry. They worked in pairs, each team taking 3 or 4 children. The whole operation took less than 2 minutes. Parents noticed first when the laughter stopped. The sudden silence was wrong. "Min Seo?" called her mother, looking around the square. Other parents began calling too. "Taeyang? Sujin? Jiwoo?" Then someone screamed. A mother had found a small shoe lying in the street, its owner gone. People began running, searching, shouting names. The festival turned to chaos. The Vrin ship left the planet's orbit within minutes, 23 human children in its cargo hold. Grixtal was satisfied. A good catch. The children were unconscious, but unharmed. Healthy specimens brought better prices. "Set course for the first transfer point," he ordered. "We follow the usual route." On HFY 7, Min Jun Kim, the colony administrator, stood in the empty festival square. Around him, parents wept and held each other. Search teams had spread across the entire settlement. They found nothing. No trace. No sign. The children had simply vanished. Min Jun's own niece was among the missing. His hands shook as he activated the emergency communication system. The message would take hours to reach Earth, but he sent it immediately. His words were simple and desperate. "This is HFY 7. We have a code red situation. 23 children have been taken. We need help. Please." They took our children. On Earth, in the Colonial Defense Force headquarters, the message arrived in the middle of the night. The duty officer read it once, then read it again. Her face went pale. She picked up a red phone that connected directly to the Admiral's office. "Sir, we have a code red from HFY 7. What's the situation?" Admiral Chen's voice was tired but alert. "Child abduction, sir. 23 children. Taken during a festival. No witnesses. No trace." There was silence on the line. Then the Admiral spoke again, and his voice was cold as ice. "Activate Red Protocol. Wake up Captain Park and her team. I want them ready to move in 30 minutes. "Sir? Red Protocol? I know what it is." The Admiral cut her off. "When someone takes our children, we don't negotiate. We don't wait. We hunt. Get Park on this now." Across the Earth, messages went out. Special teams were activated. Military ships began preparing for immediate departure. Intelligence networks lit up with queries. Every resource humanity had was suddenly focused on one goal: find the children. In a military complex in Seoul, Captain HFY Park's phone buzzed. She was awake before the second ring. A habit from 20 years in special operations. She looked at the screen and saw the words that every soldier dreaded. Red Protocol. Child abduction. Report immediately. HFY was dressed and moving in under 60 seconds. She knew what Red Protocol meant. She had trained for it, though she hoped she would never see it activated. Red Protocol was simple. When humanity's children were threatened, everything else stopped. Every rule that limited military action was suspended. Every resource was available. There was no mission more important. Her team assembled in the briefing room. 10 of the best operators humanity had. They had rescued hostages from pirate bases, saved diplomats from war zones, and stopped terrorist attacks. But this was different. This was personal, in a way that changed everything. The briefing was short. 23 children. Taken from HFY 7. Estimated 6 hours ago. The trail was already getting cold. "We believe it's the Vrin trafficking syndicate," the intelligence officer said. "They've operated in this sector for decades. They take children from developing colonies and sell them in the black markets." "How long do we have?" HFY asked. "Unknown. Maybe days. Maybe less." HFY looked at her team. She saw the same expression on every face. Cold determination. "Then we start now," she said. "We're not doing a rescue mission. We're going hunting. And we don't stop until every one of those children is home." Somewhere in deep space, Grixtal relaxed in his captain's chair. Another successful operation. The Vrin had been doing this for so long that it felt routine. In a few days, they would reach Krell Station and sell their cargo, then back out for another run. He had no idea that he had just made the biggest mistake of his life. The Vrin had taken many species' children over the years. But they had never taken human children before. They were about to learn why that was a very, very bad idea. Number: Alien Kidnappers. Take human children. Unleash the Galactic Fiercest hunters. The CDF ship Relentless cut through space at maximum speed. Captain HFY Park stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the star maps. Behind her, her team prepared equipment and studied every piece of information about the Vrin trafficking syndicate. "Captain, we're tracking ion trails from the colony," the pilot reported. "Very faint. But we have something. Follow it," HFY said. "I don't care if it takes us to the edge of known space." Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Han Dae-jung, approached with a datapad. "Intel just sent over everything they have on the Vrin. They've been operating for 60 years. Successful abductions from 17 different species. They've never been caught. They've never taken human children before," HFY said quietly. "That changes everything." Dae-jung nodded. He had children of his own back on Earth. Every member of the team understood what this mission meant. Red Protocol wasn't just military procedure. It was a promise humanity made to every parent. If someone takes our children, we will move heaven and earth to bring them home. The The Relentless reached the first jump point 8 hours after leaving Earth. The trail led toward a sector controlled by various criminal organizations. No government had authority here. It was a place where the rules of civilized society didn't apply. Perfect place for them to hide, muttered Jin'e, the team's tracker. She studied the sensor data carefully, but they left traces. Small ones, but enough. Where do the traces lead? Jawa asked. There's a trading station 3 light-years from here. Outpost Gamma 7. Known criminal haven. The Vrin have contacts there. Quote, set course, maximum speed. Aboard the Vrin ship, the children began waking up. Minseo opened her eyes slowly. Her head hurt. She was in a metal room with dim lighting. Other children lay on the floor around her. Some were crying. Sujin clung to her, tears running down her face. I want to go home, the little girl sobbed. It's okay, Minseo whispered, though she was scared too. Someone will come. My uncle will find us. Taeyang sat against the wall, his jaw tight. He was 9 years old and trying hard to be brave. We need to stay together, he said to the other children. Don't be scared. Humans don't leave each other behind. A Vrin guard entered the room. The children pressed together, frightened by the alien's appearance. The guard tossed nutrient packs on the floor and left without speaking. The door sealed behind him with a hiss. Grixtal was pleased with the progress. They had made good time. In 2 more days, they would reach Krell Station. He had already received interest from several buyers. Young humans were rare, and the wealthy liked rare things. His communication system beeped. A message from his contact on Outpost Gamma 7. Grixtal, we have a problem. You need to see this. What problem? Grixtal clicked with annoyance. The contact sent a video file. It showed a human military ship approaching the station. But it wasn't the ship that made Grixtal's blood run cold. It was what happened next. The Relentless docked at Outpost Gamma 7 without requesting permission. The station's security tried to stop the humans from entering. The footage showed 10 human soldiers moving through the station like a force of nature. They weren't there to negotiate. Where is the Vrin ship that passed through here? Captain Park demanded. Her weapon pointed at the station master. I don't know what you're talking about, the alien smuggler lied. Park nodded to her team. They spread through the station, searching every database, every cargo manifest, every communication log. Other criminals tried to resist. It didn't go well for them. The humans moved with frightening efficiency. They didn't waste time on threats or bargaining. They took what they needed and moved on. Anyone who helped them was left alone. Anyone who got in their way was removed. Within 1 hour, they had accessed every computer system on the station. They found records of the Vrin ship's visit. They found communication logs. They found names of contacts and the location of the next meeting point. Park stood in the station's control room, surrounded by frightened alien criminals. She broadcast a message to the entire station. We are looking for 23 human children. They were taken by the Vrin. Anyone who has information and shares it will be left in peace. Anyone who helped the Vrin or tries to stop us will face the full force of human military justice. Choose wisely. The message was simple and direct. Some aliens thought the humans were bluffing. They learned otherwise very quickly. News of the incident spread through the criminal networks fast. Other species watched in shock as footage showed human soldiers tearing through one of the most dangerous stations in the sector. This wasn't how civilized species behaved. There were rules, procedures, diplomatic channels. Humans didn't seem to care about any of that. On the Galactic Council Station, representatives from dozens of species watched the same footage. The Zentari delegate stood up, her antenna twitching with agitation. This is unacceptable. The humans are violating every treaty of conduct. They cannot simply invade criminal stations and take what they want. The human ambassador, Ambassador Chen, remained calm. The Vrin Syndicate has taken 23 children from a peaceful human colony. We will retrieve our children. If that requires us to violate some treaties, so be it. You cannot simply ignore galactic law, the Zentari delegate insisted. Watch us, Ambassador Chen said coldly. Here is Earth's official position. Return the children unharmed within 48 hours, and this ends peacefully. Continue to hold them, and we will dismantle every criminal organization involved, regardless of where they hide or who they claim as allies. The council chamber erupted in argument. But Ambassador Chen noticed something interesting. Several delegates who had species taken by the Vrin in the past were watching with very different expressions. Not anger, hope. After the council session, a Zentari female approached Ambassador Chen privately. Her name was Lyra, and tears filled her large eyes. My daughter, she said quietly. The Vrin took her 3 years ago. She was only 6 years old. I reported it to the authorities. They said they would investigate. They did nothing. I have not seen her since. Ambassador Chen felt a surge of anger on the woman's behalf. Do you have any information about the Vrin operations? Lyra handed over a data chip. Everything I learned while searching for my daughter. Routes they use. Stations they visit. Names of their contacts. I could never act on it. But you can. Thank you, the ambassador said. We'll find your daughter. The information from Lyra proved valuable. Captain Park's team now had a clearer picture of the Vrin network. They knew where the ship was heading. Krell Station. A massive criminal haven where anything could be bought or sold. How long until they reach Krell? Jaehwa asked. 48 hours at their current speed, Janae reported. We can get there in 36 if we push the engines. Push them, Jaehwa ordered. We get there first. And prepare. Daejung looked at the intelligence reports on Krell Station. Captain, this place has over 10,000 inhabitants. Heavy security. Multiple criminal syndicates. If we go in hard, we could start a war. Jaehwa's expression didn't change. Then we start a war. Those children have been scared and alone for days. Every hour that passes is another hour of trauma. We're not waiting. We're not negotiating. We're taking them back. The team understood. Red Protocol meant exactly that. When human children were in danger, nothing else mattered. Not politics. Not diplomacy. Not their own safety. Grixtal watched the reports coming in from his network. The humans had torn through Outpost Gamma 7. They had interrogated dozens of his contacts. They had somehow tracked his ship's route. They were good, he admitted. Better than he expected. But he had been in this business for decades. He knew how to stay ahead of pursuit. Krell Station was one of the most secure places in the sector. The humans would have to slow down, negotiate, maybe even give up. He opened a communication channel to Earth's colonial office. Time to use his leverage. This is Grixtal of the Vrin Syndicate. We have your children. They are safe. For now. If you want them returned unharmed, you will transfer 1 million credits to the following account and call off your military. The response came within minutes. But it wasn't from the colonial office. It was from Admiral Chen himself. This is Admiral Chen of the Colonial Defense Force. We don't negotiate with kidnappers. We hunt them. You have taken human children. That was your mistake. There is nowhere in the galaxy you can hide from us. We are coming. And when we find you, you will face justice. This is your only warning. Surrender now. Return the children, and you might survive. Run, and we will chase you to the end of the universe. Grixtal felt something he hadn't experienced in many years. Fear. Real fear. The humans weren't following the normal pattern. They weren't organizing diplomatic responses or negotiating ransoms. They were simply coming. Fast and hard. And without mercy. For the first time, Grixtal wondered if he had made a terrible mistake. Number alien kidnappers. Take human children. Unleash the Galactic Fiercest hunters. The footage spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. Every major news network in civilized space carried the story. Humans were hunting the Vryn, and they weren't following any rules. On the Haxari homeworld, citizens watched in shock as human soldiers moved through criminal stations like an unstoppable force. The Haxari were a peaceful species who believed in diplomatic solutions. This brutal efficiency disturbed them. "They are too violent," a Haxari news commentator said. "They show no respect for proper procedure. This is not how civilized species behave." But on other worlds, different conversations were happening. A Corvalli mother held her child close as she watched the news. "When our children were taken," she said to her mate, "the authorities told us to wait. To be patient. They said it might take months. We never saw them again." She looked at the screen, watching human soldiers rescue their young. The humans don't wait. On the Zentari homeworld, Lyra watched the news with tears in her eyes. The data chip she had given to Ambassador Chen was now in the hands of Captain Park's team. For 3 years, she had begged authorities to help find her daughter. For 3 years, they told her the Vryn were too difficult to catch, too well hidden. The humans were proving that wrong. The galactic networks showed split opinions. Some species condemned human methods as barbaric. Others quietly admitted they wished their own governments showed the same determination when their children disappeared. The Galactic Council held emergency sessions. Delegates argued for hours about human conduct. But everyone noticed that Earth's ambassador sat calmly through all the accusations. She didn't apologize. She didn't make excuses. "We will bring our children home," Ambassador Chen repeated every time. If that disturbs the Council, perhaps the Council should consider why child trafficking has been allowed to flourish in the first place. That statement hit hard. Everyone knew the Vryn had operated for decades. Everyone knew children disappeared regularly from developing colonies, but it was easier to ignore than to confront the dangerous criminal networks. The humans weren't ignoring anything. Aboard the Relentless, Captain Park studied the intelligence about Krell Station. The place was massive, a converted asteroid that housed thousands of criminals, smugglers, and traders in illegal goods. It had its own security force, its own defense systems, and its own rules. "We'll never get permission to dock," Daejung said. "The station master is in business with the Vryn. He'll warn them the moment we approach." "Then we don't ask permission," Jaehua said. She turned to her weapons officer. "Can you disable their defense systems?" "Yes, Captain. But it will alert everyone on the station that we're hostile." "Good. I want them to know we're coming." Jin-A looked up from her computer. "Captain, I have movement on our long-range sensors. Multiple ships are leaving Krell Station. Looks like some of the criminals are evacuating." "Smart," Jaehua said. "They're realizing they don't want to be there when we arrive." The communications officer received a message. "Captain, we're being hailed by a ship leaving Krell. They say they have information about the Vryn. Put them through." The face that appeared on screen was insectoid, with multiple eyes and mandibles. The species was Crixian, known for being involved in various illegal activities. "Human captain," the Crixian said nervously. "I am leaving Krell Station. I want no part of what is coming. But I know where the Vryn keep their records. All of them. Every child they have taken. Every buyer. Every contact. I will give you this information freely." "Round. Why?" Jaehua asked suspiciously. "Because I have seen what your kind does when your young are threatened. I am a thief, not a fool. The Vryn are finished. Anyone smart is getting away from them. Take my information. Use it. Just remember that some of us chose to help you." The Crixian transmitted a massive data file. Jin-A began analyzing it immediately. Her eyes went wide. "Captain, this is everything. Names, locations, trafficking routes. There are records here going back 40 years. She looked up. "There's information about children from dozens of species, including a Zentari child taken 3 years ago." Jaehua felt a grim satisfaction. Send that information to Ambassador Chen. Make sure Lyra gets the data about her daughter. The team continued preparations. They had 30 hours before the Vryn ship reached Krell Station. 30 hours to plan an assault on one of the most dangerous criminal havens in the sector. We need more firepower, Daejung said. 10 of us against an entire station? Those aren't good odds. Before Jaehwa could respond, the communications officer spoke up. Captain, we're receiving multiple hails from other ships. They want to join us. What? The screen showed 5 different vessels. Their captains appeared one by one. A Zentari female, a Corvalli male. 3 others, from species Jaehwa didn't immediately recognize. The Zentari spoke first. I am Captain Vex of the Zentari Defense Fleet. My government has authorized me to assist in your operation. The Vryn took children from our colonies too. We want justice. The Corvalli captain nodded. My daughter was taken 7 years ago. I never stopped looking. Your ambassador shared intelligence about Vryn operations. That intelligence led me to information about my child. Thanks for watching. She is alive, Captain Park. Somewhere in the Vryn network, my little girl is still alive. His voice broke. Let me help you burn this evil to the ground. One by one, the other captains shared similar stories. All of them had lost children to the Vryn, or knew someone who had. All of them had been told by their governments that nothing could be done. The humans had shown them that was a lie. Join our formation, Jaehwa said. But understand this. We're not going to Krell Station to negotiate. We're going there to take those children back by force. Anyone who gets in our way will be treated as an enemy. If you're not comfortable with that, stay behind. We understand, Captain Vex said, and we accept those terms. Aboard the Vryn ship, Grixtal was growing desperate. The news feeds showed human forces approaching Krell Station. More importantly, they showed other species joining them. His safe haven was becoming a trap. He called the station master of Krell Station. We need to move the auction up. Sell the humans now. Today. Impossible, the station master replied. The buyers need time to arrange payment. Moving too fast raises suspicions. There are human warships coming, Grixtal shouted. I saw what they did to Outpost Gamma 7. They will tear Krell apart looking for these children. The station master was silent for a moment. Then, he said something that chilled Grixtal's blood. Then, perhaps, you should not bring them here. The humans are making it very clear that anyone holding those children will face their full wrath. You can't turn me away. We have an arrangement. That arrangement did not include starting a war with humanity. The station master cut the connection. Grixtal stared at the blank screen. This was impossible. The station master had worked with the Vryn for 20 years. But now, faced with human determination, he was abandoning them. Grixtal's second-in-command spoke up. Captain, we could go to the Krenth sector. We have contacts there. That's 2 weeks away. The humans will catch us long before then. Then what do we do? Grixtal looked at the cargo bay cameras, watching the human children huddled together. One of the older boys, Tae Yang, was telling stories to the younger ones. They clung to each other for comfort. Despite days in captivity, they weren't broken. They still had hope. We use them as leverage, Grixtal decided. We go to Krell Station as planned, but we rig the cargo bay with explosives. If the humans attack, we threaten to kill the children. That will stop them. Will it? His second-in-command asked doubtfully. These humans don't seem to stop for anything. Every species protects its young. They won't risk the children's lives. They'll have to negotiate. Every deal. They'll have to negotiate. But as he said it, Grixtal wasn't sure he believed it anymore. The humans had shown they would tear through any obstacle to reach their children. Would they really stop when threatened, or would they find another way? On the Relentless, Jaehwa received updates from intelligence. Captain, The Vryn ship changed course briefly, then resumed heading for Krell. They're acting erratic. They're panicking, Jawa said. Good. Panicked enemies make mistakes. We also intercepted a communication from Krell Station. They're considering turning the Vryn away, Daejung smiled coldly. They're realizing that harboring those children comes with a price they don't want to pay. We arrive at Krell in 28 hours, Jawa said. The Vryn ship arrives in 30. That gives us 2 hours to prepare the battlefield. Jin A. I want detailed maps of every section of that station. Daejung. Coordinate with our new allies. We're going to take control of Krell Station before the Vryn even dock. Daejung. The entire station, Captain? Daejung asked. The entire station, Jawa confirmed. By the time Grixtal arrives, he'll be walking into our trap. Not the other way around. The team moved into high gear. This wasn't just a rescue mission anymore. It was a statement to the entire galaxy. Touch human children. And humanity would bring the full weight of its military might down on you. No hiding. No negotiating. No mercy. The galaxy was watching. And the galaxy was learning to fear humanity's protective instincts. Number. Alien kidnappers. Take human children. Unleash the Galactic Fiercest hunters. Krell Station floated in the darkness, unaware of what was coming. The massive asteroid had been hollowed out and converted into a city for criminals. Thousands lived there, believing themselves safe from galactic law. They traded in weapons, drugs, stolen goods, and sometimes, people. The station master, a Grexian named Thule, sat in his command center watching the news feeds. Images of human soldiers moved across his screens. He had been in the criminal business for 30 years. He knew when to fight and when to run. This was time to run. Prepare my personal ship, Thule ordered his guards. I'm leaving. Sir, you can't abandon the station, his lieutenant protested. Watch me. When those humans arrive, this place becomes a battlefield. I'm not dying for the Vryn's mistake. But before Thule could leave, alarms blared throughout the station. His screens lit up with warnings. 6 ships had just dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of sensor range. The Relentless and its allies had arrived early. Attention Krell Station. Captain Park's voice broadcast on all frequencies. This is Captain Jawa Park of the Colonial Defense Force. We are here for the children taken by the Vryn Syndicate. You have 2 choices. Cooperate with us, and your station survives. Resist, and we will take it by force. You have 5 minutes to decide. Thule stared at the screen in disbelief. They can't just attack us. This is neutral territory. Tell them that, his lieutenant said, pointing at the sensors. The human ship was already launching smaller craft. Sir, they're deploying boarding teams. Activate the defense systems. Scramble our security forces. The station's weapons came online, targeting the approaching ships. But before they could fire, the Relentless launched a series of precision strikes. Missiles streaked through space, hitting specific points on the station's exterior. Explosions blossomed in the darkness. Jin-A had done her work well. She had identified every weapons emplacement, every shield generator, every critical system. The strikes disabled Krell Station's defenses in under 3 minutes. Defense grid is offline, someone shouted in the command center. How? How did they know exactly where to hit? Inside the station, criminals scrambled for weapons. Some ran for their ships, others barricaded themselves in their quarters. The smart ones simply waited to see what would happen. The first boarding team hit Docking Bay 3. Captain Park led her squad through the airlock, weapons ready. They moved like water through the corridors, fast and smooth. When station security tried to stop them, the fight was over in seconds. Secure the docking controls, Jawa ordered. Nobody leaves this station without my permission. Her team spread out. They had trained for urban warfare, for close-quarters combat, for hostage rescue, but they had never trained for taking an entire space station. They were making it up as they went. And somehow, it was working. The other ships deployed their own teams. Captain Vex and her Zentari soldiers took the power core. The Corvalli forces secured the main hangar. Within 1 hour, the human-led coalition controlled every critical system on Krell Station. Thule found himself cornered in his own command center, staring down the barrel of a human weapon. The Vryn ship arrives in 90 minutes, Jaehwa said coldly. Where will they dock? Where will they dock? Bay 7, Thule said quickly. They always use Bay 7. It's private, secured, designed for sensitive cargo. Good. You're going to help us set a trap. I can't. The Vryn will kill me. Jaehwa stepped closer. Look at me. Really look at me. Do you think the Vryn scares me more than what I'll do to anyone who threatens those children? Help us. And you walk away from this. Refuse. And I leave you in a cell when we're done here. Thule looked into her eyes and saw something that terrified him more than any criminal syndicate. Absolute determination. This human would burn the entire galaxy if it meant saving her people's children. I'll help, he whispered. Aboard the Vryn ship, Grixtal felt relief when Krell Station appeared on his sensors. They had made it. Soon the children would be sold. And he could disappear for a while until this situation calmed down. Krell Station. This is the Vryn transport requesting permission to dock at Bay 7, his communications officer sent. Permission granted, came the reply. Bay 7 is ready for you. Something felt wrong to Grixtal, but he couldn't identify what. The station looked normal. The communications were standard, but his instincts, honed by decades of criminal work, whispered warnings. Scan the station, he ordered. Nothing unusual, Captain. Standard operations. Where are all the other ships? Base 7 should be busy. CP-2. CP-2. D. His communications officer checked. Records show several ships departed in the last few hours. Probably routine. Wrong. Grixtal wanted to believe that. He needed to believe that. But the whispers in his mind grew louder. His second-in-command approached. Captain, should we activate the insurance? Insurance. That was what they called the explosives, rigged throughout the cargo hold where the children were kept. One button, and the entire bay would be destroyed. It was leverage, meant to stop any rescue attempt. Yes, Grixtal decided. Arm the charges. If anything goes wrong, we use the children as shields. In the cargo hold, the human children felt the ship shudder as it began docking procedures. Min Seo held little Sujin close. The little girl had cried herself to sleep hours ago. We're stopping, Taeyang said. He had been listening to the ship's sounds, trying to understand what was happening. I think we're at a station. Does that mean they're going to sell us? Asked Jiwoo, one of the twins. Not if someone finds us first, Taeyang said firmly. My uncle said humans never leave each other behind. Another child, a girl named Heejin, shook her head. We've been here for days. Nobody's coming. They're coming, Taeyang insisted. You'll see. He was more right than he knew. The Vryn ship docked at Bay 7. The airlock sealed with a hiss. Grixtal watched the monitors, still feeling that something was wrong. The bay appeared empty. Where were the usual workers? The loading crews? Open the airlock, he ordered. The moment the airlock opened, Grixtal knew he had walked into a trap. The bay wasn't empty. It was full of soldiers. Human soldiers, Zentari soldiers, and others he didn't recognize. All of them pointing weapons at his ship. Captain Park stood at the front, her weapon aimed directly at the airlock. Grixtal of the Vryn Syndicate. Her voice boomed through the bay. You are surrounded. Release the children immediately and surrender. This is your only chance. Grixtal's hands shook as he reached for the detonator. I have explosives rigged throughout the cargo hold. He expected the humans to back down. Every species would back down when children's lives were threatened directly. It was basic evolutionary biology. Protect the young at all costs. But Captain Park didn't lower her weapon. You're bluffing. I am not bluffing. I will kill them. No, you won't, HFY said calmly. Because dead hostages have no value. You're a businessman, Grixtal. You don't destroy valuable cargo. You're trying to create leverage. But it won't work. We're not negotiating. Then the children die. HFY smiled, and it was not a kind smile. Go ahead. Press that button. Grixtal's hand froze. This was wrong. This wasn't how it was supposed to work. The human should be panicking. Should be desperate to save the children. While you've been talking, HFY continued. My team has been scanning your ship. We found the explosives. We also found the access panels leading to your cargo hold. Right now, my specialists are cutting through those panels. In about 30 seconds, they'll have the children out of that bay, and you'll have nothing. It was a bluff. It had to be a bluff. Nobody could work that fast. But even as Grixtal thought it, he heard sounds coming from inside his ship, metal being cut, movement in the corridors. His second-in-command looked at the internal sensors. Captain, there are intruders in sections 4 and 5. How did they get aboard? We docked at your ship while you were focused on the bay. Daejung's voice came through the comm system. Did you really think we'd just wait around while you made threats? Grixtal looked at his monitors in horror. He could see human soldiers moving through his ship, fast and efficient. They had mapped every corridor, planned every movement. This wasn't a rescue attempt. It was a military operation. Cargo hold located. Daejung reported. Beginning extraction. In the cargo hold, the children heard sounds. The wall suddenly burst open, metal panels crashing to the floor. Soldiers in armor rushed through the opening. We're the Colonial Defense Force. One of them shouted. We're here to take you home. Minseo couldn't believe it. Taeyang had been right. Someone had come. Tears streamed down her face as soldiers gently helped the children through the hole in the wall. Is everyone here? Daejung asked, counting heads. 23 children? All here, Taeyang said, trying to sound brave even though he was crying with relief. Then let's go home. In the docking bay, Grixtal watched his screens as the children were evacuated from his ship. His leverage was gone. His hostages were gone. All he had left was a ship surrounded by angry soldiers. It's over, Grixtal, Captain Park said. Surrender now. Grixtal looked at the detonator in his hand. It was useless now. The children were gone. He had nothing left to bargain with. Slowly, he set the detonator down. I surrender. Good choice, HFY said. Then she added, but we're not done yet. You're going to tell us everything. Every buyer, every contact, every child you've ever taken. All of it. And if I refuse, HFY's expression turned cold. Then you'll learn exactly why you should never, ever threaten human children. Grixtal looked into her eyes and knew he had no choice. The humans had won. Completely and absolutely. And now, they were going to use him to destroy his entire organization. Number, alien, kidnappers. The children sat together on the Relentless, wrapped in thermal blankets and drinking hot chocolate. Medical staff checked them over carefully. Physically, they were mostly fine. A few bruises, some dehydration, nothing serious. But their eyes showed the trauma of the past days. Captain Park sat down next to little Sujin, who clutched a stuffed animal one of the soldiers had given her. The 5-year-old looked up with wide, scared eyes. Are the bad aliens gone? Sujin asked in a small voice. They're gone, HFY said gently. They can't hurt you anymore. And we're taking you home to your parents. I knew someone would come, Taeyang said from across the room. The 9-year-old boy sat with his sister Minseo. Humans don't abandon each other. That's what my uncle always says. Your uncle was right, HFY said. And he's waiting for you on Sabiol 7. We called ahead. Everyone knows you're safe. The journey back to Cybiol 7 took 2 days. During that time, the children slowly began to relax. The soldiers entertained them with stories and games. They ate real food, instead of nutrient packs. They learned that the scary time was over. But while the children rested, Captain Park's team worked. Grixtal had given them everything, and the information was devastating. The Vryn network was massive, spanning dozens of sectors. They had contacts everywhere, buyers in high places, and records going back 40 years. There are over 300 children in these records, Janae said quietly, reviewing the data. Different species. Some taken 10 years ago or more. Send everything to Earth Command, Jawa ordered, and share it with the Galactic Council. Let them see exactly how big this operation was. The information hit the galaxy like a bomb. News networks broadcast the findings continuously. The Vryn hadn't just taken a few children. They had built an empire on stolen innocence. And nobody had stopped them. Until the humans came. On the Zentari homeworld, Lyra received a message from Ambassador Chen. Her hands shook as she read it. Her daughter was alive. The Vryn records showed she had been sold to a wealthy family on a world in the Drexel system. The family claimed they didn't know she was stolen, that they had adopted her legally. It didn't matter. Zentari authorities, newly motivated by human determination, were already demanding her return. Similar stories played out across the galaxy. The Corvalli captain, who had helped at Krell Station, learned his daughter was alive too. She was being held on a mining colony, forced to work despite being only 12 years old. Corvalli military forces were already on their way to get her. The human example had broken something loose. For years, species had accepted that child trafficking was a problem, but too difficult to solve. Now, they saw it could be solved. It just required the will to act. The Relentless approached Cybiol 7 to a hero's welcome. Every person on the colony had gathered at the landing field. Parents waited with desperate hope, barely able to breathe. The ship landed, and the ramp lowered. One by one, the children came out, blinking in the sunlight. Minseo! A woman screamed, running forward. Minseo saw her mother and ran, both of them crying and holding each other. All around them, similar reunions played out. Parents and children finding each other again, the nightmare finally over. Little Sujin was met by her entire family. Her father swept her up in his arms, tears streaming down his face. You're home, baby. You're home. Minjun Kim, the colony administrator, embraced his nephew Taeyang. I wasn't scared, Taeyang lied, and then admitted, okay, I was scared. But I knew you'd send someone. We sent the best, Minjun said, looking at Captain Park, who stood at the bottom of the ramp. Thank you. Thank you for bringing them home. Jaehwa nodded. That's what we do. Nobody takes our children. The celebration on Cybiol 7 lasted for days. But across the galaxy, the repercussions were just beginning. The Galactic Council held emergency sessions. The evidence of Vryn operations had exposed something shameful. Many delegates had known about the trafficking. Some had even looked the other way when it happened to less powerful species. Now, with the galaxy watching, they could no longer ignore it. The humans have demonstrated, Ambassador Chen said in the council chamber, that child trafficking can be stopped. It requires dedication, resources, and the will to act. For years, this council has claimed the problem was too complex. We have proven that was a lie. It wasn't too complex. You just didn't care enough. The words stung because they were true. Several delegates protested, but their objections rang hollow. Earth proposes a new initiative, Ambassador Chen continued. A multi-species task force dedicated to eliminating trafficking networks. We will provide military support, intelligence, and training. Any species that wants to participate is welcome. Those who don't want to participate can explain to their citizens why they choose to allow children to be stolen. The proposal passed with overwhelming support. Nobody wanted to be seen as soft on child trafficking. Not after the humans had shown what real action looked like. On Krell Station, now under provisional military control, the cleanup continued. Hundreds of criminals were arrested. Their records exposed dozens of illegal operations. The station that had once been a haven for evil was being systematically dismantled, but Captain Park's team wasn't done. Using the Vrin's records, they planned missions to recover the other children. Some would be easy. Others would be difficult. But they would get them all. 3 weeks after the rescue, Lyra was reunited with her daughter. The little Zentari girl, now 8 years old, didn't recognize her mother at first. She had been taken so young, but Lyra held her and sang the lullabies she used to sing. And slowly, the recognition came. "Mama?" the little girl whispered. "Yes, baby. Mama's here. Mama's finally here." The human ambassador attended the reunion. Lyra approached her with tears streaming down her face. "Thank you," Lyra said. 3 years I searched. 3 years I begged for help. And in 3 weeks, you found her. We should have found her sooner, Ambassador Chen said. No child should be missing for 3 years. That's why we're changing things. This never happens again. The Corvalli captain's daughter was rescued 2 weeks later. The Drexel system returned. Adopted children to their real families. One by one, the Vrin's victims came home. In Seoul, Captain Park received a message from the Admiral. She expected a commendation. Maybe a medal. Instead, the message was short. "Park, your methods were controversial. Some allies are upset. Some treaties were violated. The Galactic Council filed 7 formal complaints. None of that matters. You brought the children home. Well done. New mission briefing attached. There are more children to rescue." Jaehwa smiled. No commendation needed. The work was the reward. Her team assembled for the briefing. More trafficking networks had been identified using the Vrin's records. More children were waiting for rescue. The galaxy had learned that humans would come for their young, but now they were learning something else. Humans would come for other species' young too. The new multi-species task force launched operations across the galaxy. Trafficking networks that had operated for decades suddenly found themselves hunted. The smart ones disbanded. The others learned the hard way that the galaxy had changed. On Sabiol 7, life slowly returned to normal. The children went back to school. They played in the streets again, though parents watched a little more carefully now. The trauma would take time to heal, but they were home, and that was what mattered. Minseo sat in class, listening to her teacher talk about galactic history. When the lesson turned to humanity's arrival in the larger galactic community, the teacher paused. "We're still very new to the galaxy," the teacher said. "Many species have been traveling space for thousands of years. We've only been doing it for a few decades, but we've already made an impact." "Because we're good at fighting?" one student asked. "No," the teacher said. "Because we're good at protecting each other. When someone threatens any human, anywhere, the rest of humanity responds. That's our strength, not our weapons or our ships. Our unity. Our refusal to abandon each other." Minseo thought about the soldiers who had come for them. She thought about how they had risked everything to bring the children home. She thought about what Tae Yang had said in the cargo hold. Humans don't leave each other behind. It was true. And now the whole galaxy knew it. In criminal ports across the galaxy, new rules were being whispered. Humans were off limits. Especially human children. Touch them, and there would be no escape. The humans would come, fast and fierce, and without mercy. They would tear apart entire criminal empires to save one child. It wasn't worth the risk. It would never be worth the risk. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Humans might be new to space. They might be less advanced than older species. They might not have the biggest empire or the most powerful weapons, but they had something more dangerous than any weapon. They had love for their young that transcended reason, that ignored danger, that refused to accept defeat. When human children were threatened, humans became the fiercest hunters in the galaxy, and nothing, absolutely nothing, would stop them from bringing their children home. 6 months later, the last child from the Vrin's records was recovered. A small ceremony was held at Earth's military headquarters. Representatives from dozens of species attended, including Lyra and the Corvalli captain who had helped at Krell Station. Ambassador Chen gave a speech. Today marks the end of the Vrin trafficking network. But it's not the end of our work. As long as children anywhere are in danger, humanity will respond. And we hope other species will join us. Together, we can make the galaxy safer for all our young. Captain Park stood in the back, watching. No medals, no public recognition. She preferred it that way. The job wasn't about glory. It was about making sure parents never had to feel the terror that the families of HFY 7 had felt. Her communicator buzzed. New mission. More children needed help, this time in a distant sector where a new trafficking ring had been discovered. She looked at her team. They nodded. Ready. Let's go to work, Jawa said. The hunt never really ended. But now, criminals across the galaxy knew the truth. Touch human children, or any children under humanity's protection, and the fiercest hunters in the galaxy would come for you, and they would never, ever stop.